Okay, let's be cognizant of everybody's time. I just want to thank you for joining in. I'll continue to let people in as they get here. So, um, real quick, the rules here at the bottom of the screen, like I say every week, go to your chat. This is where we start to build the community behind these calls. Put in your needs, your wants, and if you've got to give back, then throw that in there as well. And a need could be as simple as just follow me on Instagram or social media, or read my newsletter, or sign up on my website, because this is about growing our business together, and supporting one another through those efforts. So my Instagram at Jim Riley Montana. I think most of you already follow me, but let's collaborate and reach out. So that's the first thing I wanted to get out of the way. These calls are recorded and they're posted up on our school platform. So if you're a school member, you'll find these calls on that platform, as well as we upload the notes. So if you can't keep up with the notes, or the chat, I should say, you can catch it on the platform. All right, I want to start with an example of something that I wrote on our school platform the other day, and it just serves as a great reminder for all of us. And that was Sunday night. I was just feeling frustrated over the week. I enjoyed my weekend with the kids. Just was frustrated a little bit with the state of my business affairs, and I thought, gosh, what do I need to do here? And what I typically do as a habit is I wrote it on a big piece of paper, reset in the morning. And so I got down on my desk and there was this note that said reset, right? And so what that means for me is I keep these yellow pads next to my computer here, and I draft out my list of to-dos every day. I try to focus on my 5 priorities. It's a habit that I've gotten into years now, something I learned from Andy Frisella. So I have my top 5 priorities, then all my other stuff. And as I started to rewrite all my priorities, I started to reset where my head was at, what I needed to do, and I realized that I was going to approach this week with enthusiasm and really kind of take control from an offense standpoint. And the reason why I think it's important to mention all this is because, we look at one another in our respective businesses and we think, oh, they have it all together. They must be doing so great. Oh, he's got this book and, all these things. We all suffer. Okay. We all have our ups and downs and our tough days that we need to work through. And sometimes you just need to reset. So yesterday I had one of those reset days. I charged the day. I accomplished everything that needed to be done. A lot of that was, what I'll talk about in a minute, is our events that are coming up on the weekend. So I want to give you permission to reset, even if it's right now after this call or during the call or later on tonight. If you need to reset, then do it, and charge the rest of this week. Along with that, as entrepreneurs, as intrapreneurs, family members, there is no guarantee that life is going to be easy. Okay. And I know, I'm sure we'll get some head nods out of that one. Life is tough. And I'm looking at some of the people on the screen, and I know some of the hurdles that they're trying to overcome right now, and their challenges in their individual businesses and life. And I just want to remind everybody that life is hard. It's how we get through it. It's how we build community together and get through those tough times as a group. And so that's also the point of the chat. If you're challenged with something, reach out, ask somebody for help. Don't be afraid. We're always quick to offer help to people. Well, this is an opportunity to ask for some help. It is also one of the things that I love about our school platform is that you can collaborate on a personal level because you have the chat function in there, and you can go a little bit deeper if you need to. So with all that being said, thank you for being here. Thank you for listening. Thank you for using the chat. Rachel is here. She's got a guest, and I'm excited to hear about the guests and to hear from Gwen today. And then when you're done, we'll open it up for Q&A for anybody's needs and wants within the group, and we'll go from there. So Rachel, if you want to go to unmute and then introduce Gwen, that would be great. Thank you.
Yeah.
Oh. You're double echo there.
Hang on.
Either you or Richard have to turn off your mic. Sorry, they're in the same room.
Can you hear me now?
There you go. No more echo. Good job.
Okay, Great. All right, you guys, I'm so excited to introduce you to Gwen. So my sister actually introduced me to Gwen a couple months ago. I have two sisters, and both of my sisters and I and my mom went up to meet with Gwen. We did a breath work afternoon together, and it was this amazing ritual and sacred space. And we had this like amazing, we drank tea, we had this amazing energy circle, and we talked and we shared, and it was just really beautiful. And I loved the time that we had together. And my sister that introduced me to Gwen, I know, talks to her regularly as a coach, as a healer, as a guide. And Gwen is actually going to be working with the Sunday Brunch Agency team. In a couple months, we're going to be doing a human design workshop for a few hours so that everybody can learn more about their human design. And if you guys don't know about that, I'm just going to leave it to Gwen to give you an overview of all the different services and areas and our areas of expertise. But she's a beautiful person, an amazing woman. I'm so honored to know her and to introduce her to all of you. So go ahead, Gwen.
Oh, thank you so much. That was such a warm welcome, and it's great to see everybody. Great to see your faces. Again, my name's Gwen, and I'm originally from Philadelphia, but I live here in Los Angeles. I've been here for over 20 years. So I would say both places feel like home. One maybe more of roots, and one more of who I truly am. And a little bit about me, my background. I originally, my professional career started, and I was in that for about 18, almost 20 years now, in pharmaceutical and biotech research. So I wasn't in a lab, but I was really helping the investigators to bring, with pharmaceutical companies and biotech, to bring compounds, devices, different biotechnology into humans and into treatment modalities. And what I really learned from that career was that we have to try something in order to see if it works for us, right? We have to give ourselves something, 100% of an opportunity to really collect our data and see what works for us. And certain things work for us, certain things don't work for us. So I also do love to have a lot of different tools in my toolbox for my clients and for myself, because again, each person's going to be very different based on who you are, what your, root maybe challenges are, what your current challenges are, what you want to create in the future. And so I blend a lot of that experience in clinical research, project management, auditing, working with, government agencies, universities, pharmaceutical companies, small startups, with really deep somatic, spiritual, and also energetic modalities in my coaching and in my consulting and my support with clients. So I really love working with high achieving clients that are very purpose driven, entrepreneurs, executives, C-suites, as well as healers and other coaches, other leaders in regulating their nervous system so they can really lead from a place of rooted and groundedness while they're also expanding. Because we know that if our foundation is faulty, it's really hard to create from that. And that's, I think, something that I found through each level of my coaching services is that we can really do so many great things with our mindset, with our actions, with our, inspiration, with tapping into our purpose. But if we're not grounded at a very rooted level inside of our bodies, inside of our nervous system, inside of our breath, inside of our physiology, then it's really hard to expand. And I found that that was some of the rate limiting factor with a lot of leaders, entrepreneurs, and executives, is that they weren't really grounded because they were overwhelmed, stressed, or, disenchanted, disconnected. And so really bridging both science and spirituality, because I really do believe that we are both. So I also have my master's in spiritual psychology, different coaching trainings, as well as certified in human design, certified in the polyvagal theory by the Polyvagal Institute for nervous system. I also work with neural retraining, our brain, as well as deep somatic work I'm trained in, breath work. And I've also moved through about a 10-year mentorship now within shamanic energy medicine. So I love bringing all different levels of who we are to the work that I do with clients, because we're all of it, right? We are brain, we are body, we are heart, we are, experiences that happened when we were younger, and that feeds into how we show up now in our lives, as well as these ethereal divine beings. So I offer one-on-one. I also offer something called the Grounded Group, which is starting actually this Thursday. It is an 8-week group. It's all virtual, and we go through each of these layers. So we go through the polyvagal theory, safe and sound protocol. We do neural reprogramming. We do limbic retraining, somatic work. I give a teaser into human design if you're interested in learning about your human design, and as well as breath work, and then practical spirituality, right? What does that mean to be spiritual, and how can we bring that into, like what Jim said, days when you're having challenges, when you're not feeling motivated? Oh, great. You're going to give some questions. Awesome. I also,
Well, you're going to get plenty of questions.
yeah. Okay, great. I also do, I do groups. I also have a group coaching for women. I also have a podcast that's called The Beautiful Grit. I have a social media if you want to give a follow. I also have a newsletter that usually comes out maybe once a week, twice a month. I really only send it out when there's something very deep in my heart that I want to share. And also, yeah, I just do in-person events. The podcast is called The Beautiful Grit, and it's on all of the different places where you can listen to podcasts, Apple, Spotify. Trying to think what else. I also have a breathwork certification. So it's great certification. It entails both somatic work, the neural reprogramming, as well as breath work, because I've just found that breath work, yes, is a great experience, breath work tools, breath work healing, but we also have to know what to do with all the material that surfaces when we do breath work, because it can be a very activating experience for people. So I'd like to train my students that go out into the world to not only learn those tools, but really tap into their unique medicine and how they're meant to share their unique medicine with the world, not just necessarily my way or my breath work, but really helping them tap into their own. And, I would just say the polyvagal theory. So what it is it's based on, it's spelled Poly, and then it's a V as in Victor, VAGAL. And it was the work of Dr. Stephen Porges, and he's incredible. Everything that you pretty much see on social media nowadays about your nervous system, about your vagus nerve, about making sure your nervous system is regulated, really comes through his work. And he created the Polyvagal Institute, and then the Polyvagal Institute has a business that it's aligned with, which is called Unite, UNYTE. And that is the app, that's the business that we run these different nervous system protocols through. So they're really cool, and why I love them, especially for busy people, busy entrepreneurs, very busy executives, C-suites, even individuals like, stay-at-home moms, is that it's a listening protocol. So as you're listening, the protocol is strengthening and exercising your vagus nerve. Your vagus nerve is one of your cranial nerves, and it goes right from your inner ear, behind your inner ear, all the way through your entire body, all the way down to the root of, kind of where your anus is. And so it goes all the way down, and it controls everything in our body. So our facial expressions, how we both look to other people and how we take facial expressions in from other people, our tone of voice, how we speak, our respiratory, our cardiovascular, our digestive system, it controls everything. So when people start to get this vagus nerve strengthened, and more regulated, then everything in your body starts to become more regulated too. And what's really great about it is that you can listen to this protocol, not necessarily while you're doing tech, because you don't want to be on computers or social media or TVs. But if you are chopping vegetables, if you're making dinner, if you're sitting there and just quietly playing with your kids, if you're going for a walk in nature. So I find this protocol is something that very busy and somewhat dysregulated, overwhelmed, burned out, anxious, or stressed people can do, while not having to add another thing onto their list. Because I find that that's like one of the challenges with very overwhelmed individuals, is that they want to get help, they want to feel better, they want to feel stronger, more resilient, less stressed. But a lot of times that requires that they add a lot more things to their to-do list, which is like the last thing that they actually need. So a big part of what I like to do is really help my clients learn how to bring these tools, whether it's somatic, whether it's neural retraining, whether it's mindset, whether it's your nervous system, to bring these things into your existing life, to what you already do, right? So like, for instance, if we were working with Jim, we would like have him do one of these somatic and more embodiment exercises while he was writing that list on the legal pad, so that you can bridge it into your life. To me, that's practical. To me, that's embodied. And I think that that's what my former career really taught me, is that yes, there's all these wonderful ethereal things out here, but unless we're really grounded in them and they become our wisdom, right? They become our embodiment, then it's just information. It doesn't get to become wisdom inside of our body. So let's see. Any other questions?
Oh, I got a couple for you, Gwen.
Yeah.
And then we'll do a couple quick ones, and we can open it up to others if they want to bring up their needs and wants. But I'm looking at some of the screens here. Billy, Richard, Casey, Kevin. You got all these tough guys. No offense, ladies, I know you're tough too. Curtis, he's probably exhausted from hunting elk all night last night. How are you working or convincing men that this is also important for them? As we want to tough it all out.
Right. Well, I mean, I will say that I'm a marathon runner. I was a triathlete. I did Ironman. So these things like are very rooted in, our physiological strength and resilience as well. So breath work, and I would even say human design and somatics, right? So it's like you can push yourself to a certain degree, but then typically people will hit a wall. And that's what I find with a lot of clients. So I have a handful of clients in the UK and in Europe, who are men and leading very, large manufacturing plants for Red Bull and, other big companies. And it's really great to see what happens when men actually start to tap into the wisdom that their body has for them, the wisdom that their breath has for them, and also the energy that's moving through them. They actually become even more, I would say, strong. They become more clear. They become more focused, and less drawn by everything else that's happening outside of them. They have a lot more presence and focus. So I think it's very relevant. And it is, I would say somatic work. It's, you can have very deep levels of somatic work, which is maybe more somatic experiencing, working with a therapist. The work that I like to do is probably more on the coaching end, where it's learning how to become present to what's happening in your body and what's happening in your life, your emotions, your thoughts, your challenges, right? So like bringing forward a challenge that you might have, and then closing your eyes and moving from our brain and trying to figure things out in our brain, but really learning to listen to the wisdom that our body has about these things. So I find that it helps, I would say men, but also I would say a lot of the women that I work with are kind of like the type of woman that I was at one point, which was very masculine. It was a lot safer for me to be masculine. It was a lot safer for me to be in my head, because it wasn't as safe for me to be fully connected into my body. And when I actually became fully connected into my body, then I wasn't this head walking around trying to think and change and control and like fix everything. I was actually moving things fully, right, through my whole frequency of my body versus just my head walking around. So
I love it. Thank you.
yeah.
Thanks for all that. I'm going to go ahead and work my way around the room. Gwen, Rachel put up your website. If there's more of a deep dive that we should be doing on you, can you go ahead and make sure that everything's there? Sounds like we've got some homework, a little bit more about what you're offering and how you offer it, but very fascinating.
Thank you. Thanks
So
for having me.
yeah, you're welcome. So Curtis, if you don't mind unmuting, I'm going to call on you because I know you've been out in the wild. So we'd love to hear what's happening with you. If you got a need or want, it looks like you were writing some, you got some listings and stuff. Let you figure it out.
Hey,
There you
Jim.
go.
Got it.
How you doing? How
Yeah,
you doing? Good.
I'm good, man. Yeah, spending, hunting season's always a little different. It's, we're so fast-paced entrepreneurs and we have juggling so many people and systems, and I'm always in front of a screen and on my phone, but just finding just the connection as we were just talking about, some real mental clarity. And even like, I even breathe different being out in the wild instead of in my office. So actually really intrigued by all that, but just had the chance the last few days just to kind of reconnect and sit out there, complete silence, no phones, no Wi-Fi, watching the sunrise come up, hearing the birds chirp a little differently, man. And it was just such a good reset right now. So I'm actually back in the office. I have a friend right here, Theo.
Love
He was
Theo.
excited to hop on here. But yeah, I'm just kind of looking for balance in it all, growing this ministry, family, kids, my fitness goals, and also real estate. There's a lot on the plate. So, I mean, I do feel like it's a good overwhelmed, but, sometimes it's just I'm in my head a lot and just thinking on how to put it all together and where my time should be spent and trying to serve everybody the best I can. So, um, I don't know
It's good. It's good.
where I'm
Thanks.
at, Jim.
Thanks for throwing it out there. Curtis has a lot of things going on, as you mentioned. You could catch him on the school platform. Yes, he's in real estate, but he's got a great ministry. What is the exact name of the prison ministry that you're involved with?
So it's called Warhouse, WAR. It's kind of a play off a warehouse. We're looking to get into a facility, house some of these guys. Not so much correctional rehabilitation, but spiritual, physical, mental, fellowship, and just really community involvement for some of these guys that either have addiction problems or have been incarcerated, struggling veterans, PTSD, that sort of stuff. We're just trying to integrate these guys, give them a group to lean on, do life with, and have somewhere to go and give back. So
I love
feel
it. I
wanted and
love it.
needed. Thank
Right
you.
on. Thanks. Hey, hello to Theo over there.
Hey.
Trace brother. Good to see you, Theo. Hey, I want to go to Billy real quick. And the reason why I want to go to Billy, and I do call on him often because Billy he's currently grinding pretty hard. Billy, you're still on mute, by the way. He reached out the other day to build out a business plan. If you follow along his story, he's in Canada. He's waiting for his visa. He's a professional photographer. Build out your inner badassry. He does a lot of celebrity stuff. I can't wait for him to shoot my photos so I can look cool. But Billy, just tell us real quick about where you're at on the evolution of the business plan. If somebody wants to look at it, can you share it with them? Get any advice? You're trying to raise a little capital to get this thing kicked off in the States. Just give us a quick update.
Update, yes. Plugging away, trying to get it to where I need it. If it wasn't for you, Jim, I wouldn't have been doing a business plan. So that has completely blown my mind. So thank you for that. So so just creatively just trying to stay busy, trying to get the paperwork done, trying to get everything on paper, because for a creative, it's about being creative. Sometimes we forget that people that want to finance or help, they need numbers, they need a plan. So sometimes we forget about the plan. We just want to be creative and keep moving forward. So that's where I'm kind of at. I'm getting a lot of no's every day, but they're great no's, and they're pushing me forward and keep me motivated. So we're almost there. We're almost there, and I'm very
Awesome.
excited. Yeah.
You almost shot, who was it? Ice Cube this weekend? Is that who was in town?
Ice Cube, and Adam Sandler. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was Ice Cube, I was actually in contact multiple times, back and forth. She really tried, his publicist tried to work it and make it happen. They just couldn't make it happen. But it was one of the greatest no's I've ever got. And Adam Sandler's people were loving my work, but just, they already have photographers on the tour with them, so they just couldn't make it work. So
Yeah.
one of these people are going to say yes, and it's going to be a big door opener, and I can't wait. So
Awesome. Well, keep grinding. Love to see you here. You're putting in all the footwork, and that's why I call on you, because you are doing the work, and
Thank
it's
you.
going to pay off. And that wasn't necessarily a no. That was you can't get it in the schedule. There'll be a yes for you on that one, I'm sure.
But thank you to Gwen as well for coming on and sharing her story. I
Awesome.
much appreciated for sure. Thank you, Gwen.
Thank you.
Richard, I asked you to unmute. In my conversations with Rachel, you've been grinding away on your on what you're doing. Will you give us an update? Because I know we had some interested people that asked about it before.
Absolutely. You want to mute that, Rachel? Rachel, could you mute that? Yes. So first of all, speaking to what Gwen just had to say, I really appreciate that. I turned 64 a couple days ago, and I was kind of complaining how old I was, and then I ran into somebody who was 20 years younger than me who was dying, and put things into perspective. But I've really I've really spent a lot of time on frequency and drift, and that's kind of how I run my life. I tap into a frequency every morning. You mentioned going out in the wilderness, and you can do it anywhere, really. I prefer to do it outdoors, where I just connect to the universe, and I turn my life over to God, and I just asked, for help to where I struggle, and how I could be of service to other people. I also work with a lot of people in recovery. I've sat on some boards, and I've been in recovery for years. But the older I get, the more I realize the doctors don't have answers. They just have prescriptions, and they want to get me on the payroll. And the more that I look to holistic type of healing, and spirituality, the better I feel, and the better I'm getting. And I just feel really, really blessed, to have made it this far, and feel the way I do. On the business side of things, Jim, I want to thank you. We're going to see you in a couple days in Montana. I don't know if some of you caught me speaking a couple weeks ago, but I've launched a hedge fund. I've got 40 years in finance. I was a stockbroker, works in investment banking side of things, and I have uncovered some incredible algorithms through some really smart guys. And we have launched both the traditional hedge fund, it's called Boardroom Fund, and then we have a retail product called Boardroom Capital. And so on the hedge fund stuff, you got to have $5 million net worth, and it's $1 million buy-in. And that's being run by my partner, Tom Heckman. But what I wanted to do is I wanted to design a product, for my sister, who works at a radio station and makes 80 grand a year. For a friend of mine who's been pounding nails as a union carpenter in Fox Studios for 35 years and doesn't have enough money to retire on, and a policeman, and a coach. And so we've developed a product where anybody can open a self-directed account, and we trade your money for you. We never touch your money. It sits in your account. We trade it, and our returns are all audited, and we're averaging between 3 and 5% a month, and that's unheard of. I mean, I talked to some guys at JP Morgan. I said, what are you hearing about these algorithms? And they're like, look, our bosses have been using these algorithms for 5 years. They don't talk about it, and it's a $25 million buy-in to join that hedge fund. So we're launching a product with Rachel and a couple other people, and it's being very well received. We're opening accounts every day. And if any of you want any information about Boardroom Capital, I'd be happy to share it with you. We are able to pay a finder's fee for anybody who brings an account to us. Like I said, it's self-directed, and if you want to learn more about it, I'd be happy to talk with you. I'm going to be in Montana next week, and Rachel is doing all the compliance and all the marketing. She's just amazing. We all know Rachel, and so I'm really excited about this, and I'm really excited coming back to Kalispell. I
Thank
had to
you.
break out my big jacket, so I hope it's going to be cold. But I just appreciate all of you. I think we're all on the same page here. We want to be happy and spiritual and healthy, and give back and make $100 million. at the
I
same
love it.
time. So let's keep working together. Let's go team.
Yeah. Hey, Anthony, I'm going to connect you to Richard just because we can wrap this call up and
That's all
stick
I
to our.
got. I'm gonna mute.
Perfect. Thanks, Richard. Anthony, I'll connect you to Richard privately since we'll wrap
I
this call.
can't hear you, Tim.
I don't know. We're losing. Oh, hi, you hear me now? Okay. Anyways, we'll wrap up. Thank you everybody for joining today, being here every Tuesday, same time. Hey, Riley, thank you so much for all your work on this Friday's event. Dinner's going to be spectacular. I think we've got one seat left. So there you go. See everybody next week. Thanks again.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye. Thanks, Gwen.
Thank you.